Hello everyone, hope you are good and be happy always. Once again, welcome to Sachi's Academy, and today we will discuss the problem of deficient and excess demand. Do you know one fact? When we demand more goods and services in the market, more jobs are created for people in any economy? Yes. When we buy more goods and services in the market, business houses or factories or firms you may call are forced or motivated to produce more goods and services. And for production of those goods and services, they need more workers and they hire people. So in that manner, they create more jobs or employment in economy. So buying more goods and services in the market by people leads to more employment in economy, right? So the problem of deficient and excess demand is directly related to your demand for goods and services in the market, right? So we will discuss the problem of deficient and excess demand. Along with that, we will discuss the problem or the concept of full employment equilibrium and underemployment equilibrium. Before discussing these two concepts, we need to know some basic concepts regarding employment and unemployment. What are different kinds of unemployment that are associated with any economy? Okay, employment. First, we will need to know deficient. Deficient means lack or shortage of something. If your demand is in shortage, what will happen? And excess means more of something, surplus of something. And if your demand is in surplus, what will happen in your economy? We will discuss the specific cases later on. Let's start with our employment. What is employment? Employment means condition of having some job. If I'm a teacher and I am having a job in a college, that means I am employed. So employment means condition of having some job to earn your livelihood. You get money for doing your any work. So employment is here. Now full employment and underemployment. Full employment. What is the condition of full employment? In any given economy, if everyone who is willing and able to work at given wage have work is known as full employment. Take for example, I am PhD in economics along with all other qualifications and I am an eligible professor to work in any college or in any school. I am PhD in economics, so I can be an economics teacher. So in that case, I am able to work here. Ability to work, that means I am qualified to work as a teacher. Now, at given wages, if some college wants to hire me, I am eligible, I am able, I am PhD economics, right? Eco, I can be a teacher. If any college wants to hire me at 50,000 rupees per month in my area and I am willing to work at that salary, that means I am employed. Now, if other people who are able to work in different capacities, who are qualified for different jobs and they have jobs at given wage rates and they have grabbed that job, if the people who are willing, everyone, all the people who are willing and able to work at given wage rates in any given economy are having jobs, is known as full employment. That means a condition where everyone who is willing and able to work at given wage rate is having work is known as condition of full employment. Now, here we need to discuss that under full employment, in the condition of full employment, supply of demand is equal to demand for labor. Supply of labor is equal to demand for labor. Take for example, in any given economy, if supply of labor is suppose 10 lakh people, if there are 10 lakh workers in economy who are able to work in economy and who want to work at given wage rates, and demand for labor is also 10 lakh people. Now under this case, your economy is under full employment. That means who are willing and able to work are getting jobs. If there are 10 lakh jobs and 10 lakh people who want to work, if supply is equal to demand, that means there is full employment in economy. Everyone who wants to work is getting job at given wage rate. Now, this is full employment. Now, underemployment. What is underemployment? If supply of labor is 10 lakh people, but there is lack of demand for labor and demand for labor is only 8 lakh people. If your economy is having only 8 lakh jobs to offer to people at different wage rates, that means what is happening? Jobs are lesser by 2 lakh posts or vacancies. In that case, This is known as underemployment. That means there are lesser jobs for people. That means supply of labor is more and demand for labor is less. In that case, this is known as underemployment. Now, we move on to our next topic, that is full employment and zero unemployment. Does your concept of full employment means zero unemployment? No. Why? Because under full employment also there may be different kinds of unemployment that are inherent in any type of economy. What are different kinds of full unemployment that are associated with full employment? Even if a condition of full employment is there in economy, there will be some kind of natural unemployment. What is natural? That means unemployment that will naturally happen in an economy even if the condition of full employment is there. Why? Because if the salary is lesser, if I am PhD economics and I am willing to work, but if any college is offering me only 5,000 rupees to work in some college, and I would feel that it's better to rather sit at home than working at 5,000 rupees in any college and toiling for whole day or working for whole day in some college. So I won't be working at the wage rate of 5,000 rupees in any college. So in that case, I am not taking up that job. In that case, I am naturally unemployed. In that case, there is some minimum wage rate at which people are not ready to offer their services and they are unemployed. This kind of unemployment would be found in every economy. There are other kinds of unemployment. In natural employment, we have three different kinds of unemployment. They are frictional, structural and surplus unemployment. Unemployment is the condition of having no job, right? So here, frictional unemployment. What is friction? That means problem with something. You may have lack of information, you may not be able to move on to some place, that may be a problem, or there is wear and tear of machinery in economy or in some plants or in some business houses, that may be a cause of that. So we'll discuss them one by one. Under frictional unemployment, what is the cause? Immobility of labor or lack of information. Lack of information. Suppose there is job for me available for me in my city only, but I am not aware of that job or vacancy. In that case, I have lack of information regarding jobs and they may offer me 60,000 rupees also, but I am not aware of that job. In that case, I will be unemployed because of frictional unemployment or lack of information. Second case, immobility of labor. Suppose there is job that is available in Bengaluru or Hyderabad. So, but I can't move on to Hyderabad to take up that job because my family and kids are residing here. In that case also, I will be unemployed because of immobility of my personal capacity. I can't move on to that place and I can't take up that job. In that case, I will be unemployed. Changing of jobs. In certain cases, if I don't find some job lucrative or nice, I may leave that job and find job in other colleges. In that period also, I am unemployed. In that case, it is natural unemployment. Then, structural unemployment. Unemployment that is related to structure of your economy, that is known as structural unemployment. There may be certain basic changes in your economy or demand and supply of labor or demand and supply for other raw materials or resources in economy. In that case also there will be structural unemployment, or there may be policies of the government that are changing. Onto that also there may be unemployment, and that is known as structural unemployment. What are the reasons for structural unemployment? Number one, short supply of raw material and other resources, but other than labor. Labor is in full supply, but other than labor, what are the resources? Raw material is there, then there is capital is there, land is there. So in that case, if any of these resources of production are in shortage, in that case, your structural unemployment will happen. Okay, suppose to produce chips, we need potatoes, and in certain year there is lack of supply or lack of production or lesser production of potatoes. In that case, what will happen? Factories which produce potatoes do not have potatoes for producing chips. In that case, people who are engaged or who are employment in chips producing are factories like Lay's and other types of Uncle Chips and Lay's, they will be unemployed because potatoes are not available, and People who were employed there have now been unemployed, or they have lost their jobs owing to lack of raw material or potatoes, right? Or tomatoes for ketchup industries is required, leather for shoe producing industries is required, and other raw materials are also required. And if they are in shortage, the people who are engaged in those factories will also be unemployed or will lose jobs. Second is lack of expertise. Suppose there is a lot of demand for people who know coding nowadays, but lot many people do not know coding. Even I don't know coding. In that case, I am not eligible to work as a coding expert. In that case, what will happen? People may remain unemployed, or people, those who do not have expertise in computers or Excel or other functions or artificial intelligence may be unemployed, and people do not have expertise or skills. Change in technology. Take for example, previously in our times, typewriters were very famous. Typewriter, do you understand? People nowadays do not see typewriters, but typewriter was a machine which was used for typing your letters and other type of documents. But nowadays we use computers, advanced type of computers to type all these type of documents and letters. Those typewriters, those who were engaged in typing with typewriters are now unemployed because of changing technology, or there may be changing technology of certain machines or production of certain commodity. In that case also, people may lose their jobs because they are not expert in that type of technology, and they may lose their jobs. Next, surplus unemployment. What is surplus unemployment? In many cases, government may pursue a policy of minimum wage price or wage rate policy. They may fix some wage for people. In that case, if people have fixed some wage rate, suppose they fix 50,000 rupees for some professor or any professor working in a college. So colleges who do not want to hire professors at 50,000 rupees per month and want to hire professors at 10,000 rupees per month may reduce their jobs. If they are employing 5 professors at 10,000 rupees per month, but now government has fixed wage rate of 50,000 rupees per month. So they may not employ more than 2 professors, and their demand for labor or professors has decreased. In that case, what will happen? Lower demand for labor will happen, and 3 professors will lose their job. In that case, this is known as surplus unemployment. That means surplus of labor has happened because people have lost their jobs because of fixing of minimum wage of professors or other laborers as well. Now, and we discussed the case of unemployment of voluntary and involuntary type. Voluntary unemployment. Voluntary means knowingly, on your own, okay, which is in your control. Take for example, if I do not want to work at 5,000 rupees per month and college is offering me only 5,000 rupees per month, I do not want to work. Okay, so in that case, what I am doing? I am voluntarily not employed. I don't want to take up that job because I am finding that salary lesser than what I want. So in that case, I am voluntarily unemployed. The job is available, but I do not want to take it up. So what is voluntary type of unemployment? That is the unemployment which happens because the worker do not want to work at all, labor do not want to work at all, or it does not want to take up that job owing to lesser wage rate, or it does not want to work at that particular wage rate. So wage rate is not up to his mark, so he does not want to work. So he is knowingly or he does not want to take up job and knowingly unemployed. So that is known as voluntary unemployment, and that is in the control of that person. He is knowingly unemployed. He does not either want to work on that existing wage rate, or he does not want to work at all. So that is voluntary unemployment. Now, involuntary unemployment. This is the real type of unemployment. This is unemployment. Why? Because this is not in control of people. People are able to work, people are willing to work at the existing wage rate, but they are not getting employed. That means they are unemployed, and that is known as involuntary unemployment. How? Take for example, if some college is offering 10,000 rupees some college is offering 10,000 rupees per month and they have 5 professors, right? Now, and people are working in that college, 5 professors are working in that college. I want to work in some college at 5,000 rupees per month, but still I am not getting job. That means I am involuntary unemployed. That means I am able to work in college. I am wanting to work. I am eager or willing to work at 5,000 rupees per month, but still job is not available to me or job is not created in economy. In that case, I am unemployed, and this is known as involuntary unemployment. That means if jobs are not enough in the economy for people and people are wanting to work and able to work, still they are not finding jobs, that means they are involuntarily unemployed, and this is known as involuntary unemployment. That means it's not in control of people and there enough jobs are not created in economy and people are not finding other jobs at any wage rate they are able to work or willing to work. That means this is involuntary unemployment, right? Then come to our cyclical unemployment. Cyclical, that happens in cycles or that happens due to business cycles. Business cycles. Business cycles are cycles which happen due to ups and downs in business. Ups and downs in business, why do they happen? Okay, they happen due to excess and deficient demand. We will discuss them later on, but here normally you might have heard the terms recession and depression. Nowadays recession is going on. Why? Because owing to pandemic of corona pandemic, many people have reduced their demands for goods and services. People are not moving out because they do not have income. When people do not have income, they do not have employment, they buy lesser amount of goods and services. And when they buy lesser amount of goods and services, again what will happen? There will be lack of demand for those goods and services, and factories will produce lesser of goods and services, and they will employ lesser number of people, and again jobs will be shortened or cut down, and in that case more people will lose their jobs. That is recession. Now what happens in recession exactly? There are the conditions where recession is there and boom is there. Boom means the upturn in economy and recession means the downturn in economy, when there is lack of demand. In downturn there is low demand for goods and services. That is happening nowadays. People are demanding lesser number of goods and services. Low demand means low production of goods and services. See, when we don't demand goods and services, business houses or factories will produce lesser of goods and services. In that case, what will happen? There will be job cuts. That means unemployment will happen. And this is known as your recession or cyclical unemployment. Again, there will be low income, again there will be low demand of goods and service, again there will be low production, and again the job cuts. So this is a spiral of unemployment that will happen during the times of recession, and this is known as your cyclical unemployment. Again, during the times of boom, what will happen? There will be positivity in the market, there will be high demand for goods and services in the market, and there will be high production of goods and services to meet that demand. Again, to produce this higher production of goods and services, what will happen? There will be more jobs will be created in economy and the factories, and people will find more jobs, people will have more income. Again, with that income they want to buy more goods and services in the economy. Again they will demand high amount of goods and services, and there will be high production of goods and services again, and then more jobs will be created again. So again a cycle of employment will happen. So in that case a cycle of unemployment is happen, and this is during the times of recession. Cyclical unemployment will happen, and during the times of boom, employment, more and more jobs will be created and employment of people will take place. More higher employment will result in this condition, and here higher unemployment will result. Right. Then we come on to the concept of full employment equilibrium and underemployment equilibrium. What is full employment? A situation in economy where people who are willing and able to work at existing wage rates are employed. All the people. That means everyone who is wanting job and willing to work at that wage rate is having work. Demand for labor and supply of labor we have discussed. That means Aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply in the economy. What is aggregate demand? We have already discussed aggregate demand in our previous chapters for goods and services. So full employment equilibrium, that means full employment, the condition where full employment of resources has taken place. That means whosoever wants job is employed, right? So in any economy, if it is fully employment of resources taking place and it is producing goods and services worth rupees 10,000 crores. 10,000 crores worth of goods and services are being produced, okay, and it is operating at its full capacity. That means your full employment capacity, all the resources are employed, and at which aggregate demand for goods and services is also 10,000 crores of rupees, right? 10,000 crores of rupees aggregate demand for goods, and aggregate supply of goods is also 10,000 crores of goods and services. Now in that case, what is happening? There is the GDP, the potential GDP, at this potential GDP, we are producing the exact GDP. That means potential GDP is equal to the full employment. Here, economy is operating at potential GDP, and whatever employment is taking place, that is equal to the number of people who are trying to find job. That means this potential GDP, if it is produced by 10 lakh people, and 10 lakh people is equal to demand for 10 lakh people and supply of 10 lakh people. Supply is also 10 lakh people. Here everyone is finding job, and this is condition of full employment, and 10 lakh people are producing goods and services of 10,000 crore rupees, and here also aggregate demand is 10,000 crore rupees and aggregate supply is also for 10,000 crores of goods and services. Now what is happening? Economy is in equilibrium. Now here aggregate demand and supply is equal, because equilibrium means, we have already discussed, equilibrium means where demand for goods and services is equal to supply for goods and services, and where saving is equal to investment, right? We have already discussed here the definition for this: a situation in which in economy when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply and saving is equal to investment with fuller utilization of resources and no excess capacity. Here what is happening? Here economy is operating, or economy is producing goods and services of 10,000 crore rupees and 10 lakh people are employed. That means full employment it is operating at full employment in economy, and here aggregate demand for goods and services AD is equal to aggregate supply for goods and services, and here demand for labor and supply for labor is also equal. That means full employment is there. Full employment, economy is operating at 10,000 crore rupees and it's operating at full employment. That means full employment of equilibrium has occurred and economy is operating at no excess capacity. Here everyone is employed and people are demanding goods and services in full capacity. Here come to underemployment equilibrium. Now what is happening here? A situation in economy when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply and saving is equal to investment, but without fuller utilization of resources and excess capacity. Here what will happen? If take for example, take a reverse view of this thing. Okay, here aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, because equilibrium will always happen when there is when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply and saving is equal to investment. That means, take for example, here excess capacity is there. That means people are demanding lesser amount of goods and services because excess capacity is there. That means economy is not operating at potential level of GDP. Some resources are underutilized. What will happen if aggregate demand, what is the potential GDP? 10,000 crore rupees. 10,000 crore rupees is potential GDP. But people are demanding less. That means if the aggregate demand is what? Aggregate demand is 8,000 crore of goods and services. They are demanding goods and services worth rupees 8,000 crore only. So what will happen to producers? They will also produce goods and services for worth rupees 8,000 crore only, because they don't want to have excess of develop excess stock of goods and services, and they don't want to incur losses. So they will also supply goods and services. This is aggregate demand for 8,000 crore rupees, and now in that case aggregate supply for goods and services will also be aggregate supply. Producers will supply goods and services worth rupees 8,000 crore rupees only. In this case, what will happen? There is excess capacity of 2,000 crore in your GDP. Excess capacity, that means the goods and services which were produced with people, that means it will lead to lack of jobs or job cuts, and people, suppose 2 lakh people who were producing these goods of 2,000 crore rupees are unemployed now. Unemployed because they will lose their jobs, because there is lack of demand in economy, and owing to this lack of demand, producers will supply lesser amount of goods and services, and in that case what happens during this session? There will be job cuts and people will lose their jobs. Suppose 2 lakh people have lost their jobs because previously 10 lakh people were employed here. 10 lakh was the supply and demand for labor, but now supply of labor is 10 lakh. Okay, supply is 10 lakh, but demand for labor is only 8 lakh, and 2 lakh people have lost their jobs. Now, this equilibrium is happening. Aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, but it is not equal to your full employment. That means there is excess capacity of 2 lakh people. There is excess capacity of resources in economy that can be used to produce more goods and services in economy, that is worth rupees 2,000 crores. That is excess capacity in economy. You can produce more, but you are not producing more. Why? Because there is lack of demand, and this exactly is problem of deficient demand. We will discuss this problem with the help of diagram in our next video, but here you need to understand the concept. There is excess capacity of 2,000 crore worth rupees of goods and services. Owing to this owing to this deficient demand, people have lost their jobs, and this exactly is known as underemployment equilibrium, because in this equilibrium of a demand and supply, there is excess capacity and people have lost their jobs, and this is underemployment equilibrium. So that's how we have discussed the problem of deficient demand, the concepts, in fact, not the diagrammatic presentation of deficient and excess demand and full employment equilibrium and underemployment equilibrium. We will discuss this in our next video. I hope you have understood the topics or the concepts which I have narrated here or explained here, and if you have any problem regarding these topics, please do write, because this is some very important topic in your economics and you need to understand it very nicely. So if you have some problem, do write to me in comments, and please post comments on regular basis. That's how I know, and that's how I get motivated to produce more and more videos for you people. Thank you so much for watching, liking and subscribing. Take care and be happy.